you guys, we spoke to the director of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, James Mangold. I can't quite describe it, but you managed to capture that ineffable quality that makes for an Indiana Jones movie. It pulled the movie critic out of me and made me feel like I was 9 years old again. So thank you very much for that.
Oh my God, that's so nice to hear. I mean, it's one of the great challenges of any time you're picking up in a line of movies that have existed before the one you're making, and
Right.
certainly beloved ones. And given that we were 15 years after the previous film, and probably easily 25 or 30, well, 30 years since the ones that occurred in the golden age period, if you will, the 30s and
Yeah.
40s, when I think it was the easiest fit for Indiana Jones. You know, in the middle of World War II, the world is very black and white and clear for the character who's bad, who's good. John Williams' music fits so neatly within the context of that period because it's kind of, these movies are, let's face it, a kind of love letter to golden age filmmaking. And so
Yeah.
that the period of that filmmaking is in the period that the movies were originally taking place. What both Stephen in Crystal Skull and I had as challenges is if you're taking the character out of the milieu of the period when the style was most at home, then
Yeah.
suddenly you have to figure out, well, how are we going to push and pull on this in ways that allow us to be at least real enough that it feels like we're now in the 1960s, but also hold on to the things we hold dear about these films.
But James, I was curious about that because I feel like a lot of people had the wrong issue with Crystal Skull in that why do you think that people are okay with religious doctrine but not okay with aliens? Like it doesn't feel like too much of a leap for me. The supernatural stuff, they were like, oh sure, Ark of the Covenant, people's faces melting off, I can get behind that. But aliens, oh my God, no.
I think I can't unpack everyone's feelings about one thing or another on that film, but I can say that people put different kinds of magic in different kinds of boxes, and it's extremely cultural how and
Yeah.
why they do it. But I think that the for me, I didn't. I felt that I agree with you. I mean, in a large sense, that the the mysticism and spirituality or magic, whatever you want to call it, that was represented in the first three movies was just as mind-boggling as anything
Right.
else. Yes, and
Right. Exactly.
but it didn't enter what people view as science fiction. So that
Yeah.
but these are as a filmmaker who's never existed in one genre, and who I like to shop in all the different bins of the bookstore and the record store. I think so much of modern filmmaking is the fusion of styles and bringing them together. But I can't speak to why something might or might not have worked in another picture, but I can speak to the fact that Indiana Jones films have always been about this quite secular academic character coming into confrontation with things that he can no longer explain. And
Absolutely.
that tension between his academic logic and the miracles that he's witnessing is one that elevates our imagination.
I've got like a minute left, but if you wouldn't mind a philosophical question, I'm not quite sure how I feel, or at least I haven't come to terms with how I feel about sunsetting our heroes. And I think the first time I experienced it was probably when I was a kid watching Star Trek Six, The Undiscovered Country, and everyone was kind of old and coming to terms with their mortality. And I was like, oh my God, Kirk, what's going on? And do you think our heroes should be eternal?
Okay, there's three different things to unpack in your question. One is you're using the word sunset as a verb, and I use
Yes,
it
I
as a
am.
noun. I'm not sunsetting any heroes. I am looking at heroes in twilight or sunset of their lives, but I don't. This is not my career ambition. I had a star who's 80 years old. In a sense, I'm trying to lean into the landscape I've been given, as opposed to doing what Hollywood often does, which is take a man who is older and just pretend he's younger, which
Yeah.
to me is a lie. And we all get old, and we're all gonna get old. And if we accept, this would be another part of my answer, if we accept the proposition that we don't want to look at people who are over 40, then
Right.
that's gross. I mean, that's just
Yeah.
sad. And there can be heroes who are 77 years old. There can be men who reach deep into what they've got and find a way to save the world or save those they love. They don't have to necessarily have the biggest biceps and the coolest superhero outfit and not a line on their face. And so these are all the job of a good filmmaker or dramatist is to give your hero a problem and challenge your hero. Movies have become now more like TV shows in that not only do we make many sequels, but we actually don't challenge our hero. He's the running character of the TV show, and we just bring new problem each week. He solves it, and then we watch him solve the next one. But to me, what makes a real drama, since Aristotle, you could find it in one of the books behind you, is that the character who is the lead in the movie has a problem, a flaw, a fear, an anxiety. And that's always existed in Indiana Jones films. Even younger, he had lessons to learn. He had hubris. He had too much confidence. He was too sure of himself. He wasn't aware of his students. He wanted to hide in books, that he was avoiding intimacy. And these were all folded into the character and made him more interesting than making him a kind of perfect soul who fought for good, which is, to me, less interesting than someone more like you and me who is made up of both our flaws and our attributes.
And that, my friend, is a beautiful answer. Thank you so much. I'm all
Thank
out
you.
of time, but
Thank you
James,
for the kind and wonderful questions. Appreciate it.
I went in incredibly apprehensive, because as you do when you're a big fan, and you blew all my apprehensions out of the water. So thank you very much.
Thank you really appreciate that. Have a great day.
Get back.
Go check out Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny when it opens in cinemas. Let us know what you think about the movie. Sound off in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching.